What can men do against such reckless hate?
Hey there, Rednecks, Preppies, Redneck Preppies. It's me, the Redneck Preppy. How you doing today? Great? Good. As I announced in the last Bubba Guns video, that series is at an end. I think you can only wring the neck of that chicken only so many times before all life is gone. There's only so many tactical Lee Enfields you can endure. Well, that I can anyway. So as the part of the closing out sale of that parade of misery, I went over the hundreds of Bubba firearms that I've had to stomach over the years to see if I could suss out any patterns. What is it that moves Bubba's heart? What are the most popular builds? Now, I'm not going to claim to be the world's expert on Bubba firearms, but I think I'm able to render at least a slightly educated opinion on it. Now, this isn't exhaustive. Speaking of Lee Enfields, I didn't even address the long, sordid history of sportering them. Giant optics on pistols? Skip them. Yada yada. This is just stuff that stuck out at me over the years. Anyway, let's get into it. First up is the category, Mom, I want a PS90/FAMAS. Son, we have one at home. I know that Stargate SG-1 was a popular-ish show. I mean, it did run for 10 seasons after all. But one thing that seems to have survived that show beyond everything else is the FN PS90. Is the show the reason why so many Bubbas take perfectly good firearms and try and turn them into PS90s? Look, I get that a new production PS90 costs US $2,000. It's a fair chunk of change for most people, but given some of the nightmare Bubbas pretending to be that subgun that we've seen over the years, I think I'd rather just buy something else or save my pennies until I could actually afford one, rather than be embarrassed to take out one of these from a range bag. Of course, I'm not Bubba, so I suppose my thought process doesn't immediately leap to, hey, let's take a perfectly good firearm, add some sheet metal and JB Weld, and imitate an already ugly submachine gun. Now, a close second to the PS90 trash out there are people trying to recreate a FAMAS. Not sure why, of all things, that the FAMAS captures the attention of Bubba. Now, perhaps they're just big fans of noted Francophile Ian McCollum, who a few years ago finally achieved his dream of owning a real FAMAS. But whatever it is, so many firearms have been perverted into the form of the French service rifle. I've seen AKs and ARs, but even this Uzi drew a short straw. That said, would a fan of McCollum really be the type to Bubba a firearm? Anyway, speaking of FAMAS, our next category is something similar to France's La Clairon. Because next up is the beyond overdone bullpupping of rifles. Now, before someone ats me, I know what the advantages are of a bullpup rifle. I've shot several different models, and I see why the form factor would be attractive. I also get that plenty of real countries adopted to one degree or another in the past a bullpup as their primary service rifle. Israel, China, Austria, France, the UK being the most cited ones. Hell, there are even a few that still use them. But here are some things I also know. Bullpups have their disadvantages as well, such as notably atrocious trigger pulls, and countries that once adopted a bullpup rifle don't seem to follow up with a bullpup as their next standard issue rifle. Now, how much do you want to bet that when the British replace the L85 at some point in the future, that it won't be with another bullpup? I got the cash and the time to take that wager. So what's worse than a purpose-built bullpup rifle? Taking a perfectly functional normal firearm and modifying it into a bullpup. Sweet, merciful Jesus. There doesn't seem to be a firearm out there that's safe from being transitioned from your standard form factor rifle into a bullpup. Now, I can almost understand taking an existing semi-automatic rifle and perverting it into a bullpup. What I don't get is when Bubba takes something like a bolt-action rifle, such as this Mauser, and bullpups it. Why? Something I did notice over the years was that Soviet or Russian firearms really seemed to take the brunt of this bullpupping. I've lost count at the number of AK platform rifles that were molested into a bullpup. But even this once beautiful SVT-40 was ruined. Of course, Mother Russia can't have all of the fun. Here's an M1 Garand that suffered the same fate as those fine Red Army rifles. No, I don't know who that guy is that's holding the rifle. Regardless of what you think of the Mosin Nagant M9130, and I'm not going to hold it against you if it's a low opinion, some of the things that we've witnessed over the years that has been done to this warrior of World War II have been undeserved by any measure. A popular one is obrezing the firearm, apparently pioneered by Soviet criminals who had easy access to the rifles but wanted to make something concealable. Now, I can understand why someone destined to be a Zeka in a gulag might do something like this. Today, you're just a historical criminal if you do the same. Hey, how does it feel to have ruined a rifle you paid next to nothing for, now retailing for between $1,000 and $2,000 depending on condition? Was it worth it for your r/guns karma? Well, although obrezing was originally formed by nefarious necessity, there's no one that can build a good argument for the tacticooling of a rifle that originally saw the light of day in 1891. This one has always struck me as a some men want to watch the world burn kind of thing, because there's no reason for taking a rifle like a Mosin and trying to turn it into something it can never be, or should be. And speaking of something that it can never be, a highly accurate rifle is on that list. Even the Soviet requirements for a rifle to be turned into an M9130 PU sniper during the Second World War were pretty liberal by any country's standards, because they knew the rifle was what it was. So slapping a rifle into a modern stock with a scope better than a PE, PEM, or PU scope, so almost any scope made after 1950, doesn't make it a sniper rifle. Can't tell Bubba that though. From one Soviet rifle to another. Oh, the SKS-45. So plentiful and ubiquitous in Canada that it is often our northern Bubbas' first choice of a military surplus rifle to ruin. Now, we aren't alone in that regard. Americans can certainly give us a run for our money, but it sometimes seemed a national sport in the Great White North. Well, up until the supply of rifles dried up, and they now cost $600 to $700 each. At any rate, there hasn't been much that hasn't been done to Semenov's carbine. We've seen him tacticooled, bullpupped, and just plain bubbaed over the years. It's truly remarkable the imagination that's been employed by mad scientist Bubbas, and unfortunately the SKS has often been their target. To the point, I would argue, that even the formerly heinous actions, like slapping a Tapco stock on an SKS, is almost acceptable now compared to some of the grievous things that we've seen in recent years. Look, I kind of dig why people have a low opinion of the M9130. It was a rifle from another era in World War II, let alone today. But the SKS-45 is kind of like the M1 Garand in that, although it probably isn't your first choice on a modern battlefield, it's not obsolete either. I just think it deserves better than being in the hands of a Bubba. And there hasn't been much Bubba hasn't done to the SKS-45, as 20 episodes of the Redneck Rages series showed. I mentioned tactical M9130s, but holy cow, there would seem that there isn't a single rifle in the history of firearms that hasn't had some knucklehead try and graft a pick rail or AR buttstock to it. Now, tacticooling is often a Venn diagram of bubbaing. In the course of doing it, you could easily ruin a rifle in several sorry ways. Bullpupping, putting it in a new stock, grafting on an optic ill-suited to the firearm, and adding historically incongruous parts to it. Now, if you're a collector of military surplus firearms, you need to recognize that each of them is of its own time and speaks to what the designers thought combat was. Trying to take an M1 Garand or a Kar 98K and hoping to turn it into a modern alternative to an AR or AK, or just doing it to be a hipster jackass, is little more than disrespecting both the firearm and its history. What's worse is that the tacticooling rarely results in a firearm that doesn't have more unfortunate compromises than an open marriage. A tactical Mosin Nagant is, despite an AR-style buttstock and some pick rail, still a Mosin Nagant. A lever action with a modern optic is still a bad choice for most applications. Look, Bubba will not be denied, however, and many a fine historical rifle has had Chinesium clones of Magpul furniture and Western optics stapled, nailed, tied, zip-tied, clamped, and welded on. At the end of the day, they have a firearm that's as convincing as a liberal politician pretending to be pro-gun. Well, there you go, and I could have easily doubled this list. In fact, maybe I'll revisit this in the future. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I didn't talk about the atrocities specifically leveled against firearms like Lee Enfields. I probably could have done an entire video on what's been done to M1 carbines over the years. But that's my favorite rifle, and I don't want to see how they massacred my boy again. Friends, now that I've done chronicling Bubba firearms cold turkey, I only ask you to take care of your military surplus firearms and don't let Bubba near them. It also means not selling any guns to Athens Armory because he's going to do bad things to them. At any rate, I hope you found today's video to at least be vaguely entertaining and mildly informative. As always, I hope you continue to enjoy firearms unmolested by JB Welder Dremels. Take care and bye-bye.